Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. I've got a real treat for you. Donny Epstein is one of the most fascinating people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not saying that just because we're about to have an interview and share it, but literally for over 20 years now, I think some of the most important conversations I've ever had have been with Dr. Donny Epstein and the models that he's constructed, the way that he sees the world, and not just it being abstract, but taking these models and being able to put them into your life and actually have a better life as a consequence. He is just a master that most people I've met, and I don't want to embarrass him here because he's sitting right here now listening to me do this introduction. Most people I've met, they have a great idea in their life. They write a book maybe that's very popular, and that's it. The same thing for the next 20, 30, 40 years. He has not stood still on a single idea for more than probably 10 or 15 minutes before he's on to the next one. And he's evolving his ideas on an ongoing basis as compared to sticking with the one model that worked really well for a lot of people. And then, just going with that and turning that into a career. So he truly is someone who has evolved models of reality, of thinking, of health, of identity, all steeped in, let's call it, an energetic context that has been highly impactful in the world with countless people and some very notable people, not all of whom we could even talk about, quite frankly. But one person who does give him a public endorsement is Tony Robbins, for example. And Donny has been with Tony for over 20 years, taking care of him, his wife, Sage. And having an impact on Tony. You might wonder, Tony's out in front of crowds and he's, driving people towards higher levels of performance in their life. But where does Tony turn? And he turns to Donny as one of his resources, amazing resource. And what I'll say is that, I look at Donny kind of like a wizard. He's, he's got me laughing. He's got me thinking. He's got me changing. He's written a new book called The Seeker's Code, and I want to have a conversation with him about that right now. So you want to basically get rid of all your distractions right now. You're in for a real treat and something I'm happy to share with you because this is something that I get on the personal level from Donny over the years. Lori and I have talked to you and said, hey, we want to kind of bring you into our world a little bit more and share some of our, if you will, secret weapons, resources, or what have you, rituals, all these things that contribute to our life. And man, Donny's had a magnificent and beautiful impact on my life. So Donny, thank you so much for taking this time to share some of your ideas around reality and around this new book, The Seeker's Code.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Let's, if we can, just start with a little bit of your background and how you, I think the path that led to this particular book, The Seeker's Code. And if I can brag a little bit or ask you to brag a little bit before we start, because your book just launched a couple of days ago, meaning it just finally went out there a couple of days ago, and it raced up to some pretty high levels on Amazon in varying categories. So can you tell us where it's at right now?
Well, it got the category it got was #1 in spiritual growth, #1 in energy healing, #1 in personal transformation, spirituality, and also got the hot new bestseller in that area there. It also got self-help book, subcategory religion, which is, well, it's what they call it, and new age, which I hope to redefine as a new reality there. And that's what it's gotten so far. And this is it's just 2 days now.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. It's already successful. Let's go back some years. You and I started having conversations, I think 20 plus years ago, where we would, and it was interviews just like this. I'd interview you and talk to you about the Epstein model of spinal neural integrity and other such things. And we, for the most part, these conversations were going on within the realm of chiropractic, but to understand the role of the nervous system, the role of stress, how we experience reality, life expression, etc. You put together these very elegant and beautiful models that, interestingly, over the years, have been validated through a lot of research over time. So what got you started even looking at these kind of views of reality, putting them together and trying to operationalize them?
I never know where to start, where anything starts, and nothing ever really ends. So let's start with this point. What I've wanted to know my entire life, crazy thing as a kid, is teacher would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Happy. No, but we want to be a doctor. This, no, happy. Because when I'm happy, then I'll make different choices. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about here? Yeah. So, well, what wound up happening is a teacher, what are you going to be? I said, I have to know what I am. What do you mean? How do I know what I'm going to be unless I know what I am? And like 10-year-old kids are asking this to. And I wanted to know what am I? And I realized that later on now is that I am a data stream of information. The same information makes every atom, everything in the universe. And that information with enough energy is lit up and is manifested. I learned sometime from Talmud, Jewish scripture, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. And I said, I'm going to tap into that. So I went to school to be a chiropractic because the original philosophy of chiropractic, which is also the way it was practiced, was not what people think it is now. And around 1900, it was that there's a universal intelligence now called a zero-point intelligence. It's in everything. And that somehow it's channeled through the brain and the nervous system. It's transmitted by nerves to the whole body. And if you stretch this neuroskeleton nerves, the structure, you stretch change the tension of the nerve, which changes the vibrational information to change the morphology of the cells. And I developed systems in chiropractic that people from 14 university colleges have studied and found out this signal, this wave that goes through people that I found a way of producing in the chiropractic profession initially, which I thought would fulfill the master's original development to help us be connected to universal intelligence. Even a mind would do that in that way. And find out what these tension patterns, which I found out, that wave is unique for each individual. People assume yoga postures, never know in yoga. I didn't know what it was. Somebody says, Donny, you're producing Kundalini. I thought Kundal was pasta and Kundalini was little pastas. So I went on a journey. We found out I want to expand the model of healing to include physical, emotional, mental, social, and spiritual life changes. And we, with my method, the network chiropractic, which then became network spinal analysis, our network spinal, means change after we got fundamental research, not about this, but how systems reorganize and life organizes. And we found this wave is unique for each individual, like a retina print or a fingerprint. And it's listed as a second known, what's called central pattern generator. It generates how the spine nurses and learns and grows. As it moves through the spine, it appears that, and we believe strongly, that it suspends the patterns that have less energy, less light, because the light always wins over time, okay? Has less light. And as it goes through it, it is booted up your authentic signal. Again, what is the soul signature for the universe? How do I identify it? Why does my mind think this? Do you think something else? That's what the pattern was. And we did research for 20 some odd years in mathematical and engineering journals, because as I started developing my method, while the chiropractic profession was trying to get into accept it as a back pocket of medicine, I said, no. There's so much more. It's about people's lives. Mm-hmm. You had the same journey, similarly as you, the chiropractic teach people up with the lives, because if the spine is able to be coherent and aligned, that happens. But all healing disciplines are based upon liberating energy from within the body with the information that's been withheld. Oh, no, I hated my father. Later on, you have a big, well, he really loved me. I was focused on one day. You have more bandwidth, a different perspective. So my whole professional area was how do I upgrade the human operating system within the healthcare system? And that it produced consciousness, a change in consciousness. I met with some of the top conscious people in the world. My models evolved with Ken Wilber, one of the greatest conscious writers around. People have tried to elevate consciousness for years, and it's never worked. It makes you think you're smart, you have no shadow. It never worked. It's necessary to bring things up to where it is now. And about 20 years ago, I realized that what if the body doesn't create the field? What if the space around us, the field, is really the cloud of information? Because anything in the artificial world is from the real world of life. How does life make it? And what if the space between us, well, what if there's no you or me? It's just space, okay? The mind plays a matrix game. So what if this space is where information is really stored and held? Our nervous system with coherent energy goes into that field and pulls a thought out, pulls out achieving money, achieving a goal, whatever the mind focuses upon, and achieves out the experience of that based upon where it is in the field. And each part of the field has a certain amount of energy. And I realized that it's all about energy. All my assessment of the spine, everything you taught, equipment you developed, it really looks at the energy efficiency of the nervous system. Every thought, every emotion, every manifestation only exists at a certain amount of energy. Like every bacterial virus only lives at a certain temperature, raise it a bit, it drops out. So think of, and this is some of the principles I learned in chiropractic. I said, well, what if the nervous system doesn't just organize my health of my cells, how they organize and connect? What if there's something that creates the nervous system also that organizes the space between us, our impact, and everything in the world? What if what the spiritual traditions are speaking about is available for everyone, no matter what level of conscience you are? What if you don't need an intermediate between you and the divine? Okay, I've realized, and to cut to the chase, that my normal seeing as a child is experiencing the data field of information before it becomes a cell, before you give meaning to it, before it comes to thought, before it becomes relationship, intimacy, whatever it is. And that was suggested by Sri Bhagavan, who said, you're an avatar. He's an avatar. Spiritual. In India, they consider them deities. He said, one time he said, don't think of me as God. In my culture, I'm an avatar. He said, you're an avatar. I said, of what? He said, and it was so meaningful. He said, you're an avatar of the connection between the inner and the outer worlds, the seen and the unseen. I went, my God, that's it. So I decided to put most of my focus in that, which led to what I call the process of alchemy and led to this book, The Seeker's Code. It also is so about 10 years ago, I started telling people we're going to wake up one day with massive control by political, economic, and social forces. Try to control who we are, where we are. Our privacy will be lost as the end of the first tier of humanity is over. What if we could access more energy? There's not enough individual, collective healing time to get to this next change. And I realized what the first and second tier of humanity is all about. It's very simple. You recognize you know it. We are light. We are made of light. We transmit light. The computer program we live in says we're physical body. Okay. That's it. Because if we're light, the whole economic, social system collapses, which it already has. But let's not go there yet. Okay.
Yeah. What's the relationship between energy and healing?
Well, energy is needed for change, period. Energy is really a unit of change. That's what it is. And energetics is a term for how energy changes within a system. So you may change anger energy into love energy. So you may be in a roller coaster, top of a hill, looking over Santa Cruz, 20 stories up, and it's potential energy. It goes into mechanical energy. It goes into heat energy, maybe puke energy. It transfers, but it switches from one to one. People don't know in a quantum model. People think that there's a limited amount of energy. It's just changed from form to form. Quantum model is a limited amount of information. It's just changed into a different place, a different dimension.
Let's talk about that for a second, because one of the distinctions I think that you've made in the past that I think is an important one, which reorients maybe the goal that somebody might have when they're facing any kind of a challenge or, let's say a health challenge, is the distinction between restorative health and reorganizational health. Tell me the difference between those two things.
We wrote the paper for Journal of Alternative Complementary Medicine. Kim Yopes, the editor of the journal, said, Donny, please do not call it reorganizational healing and restorative. Call it reorganizational healing and restorative therapeutics. The point is, are you looking to be comfortable to restore to where you were before? Or do you want to have every adverse situation be an opportunity to have new novelty and rise to a new level? You see, the first tier of humanity, this is important, healthcare is infected with this, has a certain set of assumptions. One, the physical world is a primary reality. Two, it's a limited amount of resources, so we have to compete for those resources. Whoever gets the greatest amount of resources that they can control energy and information, both, access to, that's the person who wins. And the only way power or wealth is given up is through force or violence or revolution. To liberate the energy that's been bound up with conditions and to have it distributed to more and more people. What's going on in the world right now is that whether it be the environment or the economy or educational or healthcare systems, our relationships, we believe, sorry, Tom's paying ownership.
Mm-hmm.
We're stewards of everything. Okay, we don't own our thoughts. We don't own. We recycle everything. So the first tier, in order to have the greatness, you have to have great trauma. You have to have a cleansing. You have to murder, suicide, have divorce, all the horrors. And some people make it through what I book wrote, 12 Stages of Healing, make it through. Most never make it through. For most people, the divine is imprisoned.
Mm-hmm.
For most people, they don't even know they lived.
Mm-hmm.
So the next year, so what's going to happen is a larger system. And we say, well, let's attack this person, or let's attack Fauci, or let's attack Gates, or whoever your favorite villain is. The first year, there must be a villain, a victim, and a hero. And the hero must keep you a victim. Okay, so that's the way the system goes. But in the next year, it's none of that. It's none of that. It's like a hydra, cut off one. The largest system is coming to completion of humanity. And instead of the material world being seen one and a limitation of resources, instead the immaterial world, the invisible forces become primary. The space between us becomes primary. The energy of hope, of enthusiasm, of tenacity, of courage is energy. The purpose of all emotions to make change. Most people, they call emotions or thoughts that bind energy, don't make change. And it makes change. You need energy to make change. The bigger change, the more energy. The bigger change, the more information you have to process consciousness below and above the level of mind. And the more reach you have to connect to more people. So as I'm here, Patrick, just for a second, focus on, and people watching this, focus on something that's painful or difficult in your life. Everyone focus on. Mm-hmm. Hold your hand up as long as you focus on easily. Keep it there as long as you can focus on that thought. Mm-hmm. Okay? Either it's something painful, difficult, or hasn't happened yet, which means there's not enough energy and data information to make it happen. Okay? I'm going to change my state for a second. Keep your hand up as long as you can easily hold on to that thought.
Mm. Yeah.
Fading.
The thought's fading, so yeah.
Within 1 minute of my having more coherent energy, no matter where in the world, if I focus on you or think about you, instantly you have more energy. That's what's going to change the world. What you do with it, that's another story. You're all one. But the next year, the invisible forces are one. Money is not about binding energy. It's not about gold or anything like that. It's not about having. Instead of money, it is a reward for value added for energetic capital you bring to the world.
What's the interplay between? So a part of what you just did is looking at consciousness in a non-local way, because we're in two different places,
right?
And then secondly, there's a relationship between consciousness and energy.
That's it,
right?
And it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of the amount of information that can be manifested as money, as a relationship, intimacy. I found a recipe. I hacked the codes between what you think about and basically, it sounds crazy. That's what I do in life. You know, that's what I do in life here. Is create a new reality that didn't exist before, okay, for the time. Because we're the next tier for seekers. Seekers know there's something else. Seekers know that there's a different energy in the world. They know they've been given a bunch of bullshit. They know there's more than they think there is. If you tell them this is what you're going to get, they say, well, how could I be? I want to give more. I want to share more. I want to light the world up. They have a calling for more. They may have talked to imaginary friends and stopped talking to them, but they still conscious. They talk when the parents aren't around. They know that we're living in a fictitious world and there's so much more that's calling them. They don't know how to participate. Seekers are wired differently. Seekers, because they know the things I'm talking about, the next tier, it's about energy first. It's not about developing resources. It's resourcefulness, not about binding energy for your own. It's about distributing. You can still bind energy, but what you bind as your business, as your relationship, needs to distribute more than a bound.
Can you make the distinction when you talk about bound energy versus unbound energy? What's the difference?
Okay. Example. Anything you own is bound. You own it. You took it out of what's going on. You have a garden. You bound the energy from the natural flow to certain type of plants. Money is bound energy, your identity, your disease, your role as a husband or wife. It's all taking this infinite potential and making it socially acceptable. Every role we have, husband, wife, father, student, mother, parent, child, they're all roles to bind energy so mind could unconsciously live in the matrix and hopefully be more comfortable.
So with that, if there's a wound, and it could be psychological or physical, illness, there's bound energy in there. Is the idea, or is it desirable to try to liberate that energy somehow, or what's the course?
It's really the bound energy information together. Bound energy is not the problem. It's the fact there's information potential is not being expressed because of downside. So the liberating stuff is not always what you want. But most people want to liberate because they want to move away from. Mm-hmm. In restorative healing, you want to move away from something. In reorganization, we call it epi-healing or living, you want to move towards. What is the rocket fuel to activate things? It's AAA. Be aware of the energetic that's running the show that breaks you out of the matrix in the cultural field instantly. That's energy. We're watching a computer screen. And I teach people how to do this. We'll instruct how to go there. One, see it as an energy. See it as an energetic recipe without the hunger to change it, let go of it, transform it, make it go away, or Patrick, even understand it. Okay. All those are survival strategies to make sure nothing changes. The second, acknowledge that when I dial this phone number, I get that. I think I'm going for all-inclusive exotic resort, and I get city morgue. After 2 or 3 times, then maybe I dialed the wrong number. Okay. And then, so that's what speaker. Then accept, never the circumstance, accept your experience of the world, your interact with the world is accessing of every thought that could be think, every potential, every manifested, a very small, narrow range. Because I'm now a husband, a father. You're no longer seeing this person. You see a tree. Are you thinking the carbon dioxide, oxygen change? Are you thinking of all the organisms there? Are you thinking about the pheromones connected? Are you thinking about when they cut down the child tree next to it, all the other trees feed it with nutrients? No. We have a concept. What I'm saying is there's only a true experience of the energetics of your nature will ever wake you up or make a change in the world. And we're at the point now that the old tier is over. So that consciousness, which tries to control access to energy information, all you hear in the media now is who controls access to information, who's allowed, who's not. We're all in the same soup. Next year, it's here. It is here. We don't know what it's going to be like because the collective consciousness of humanity doesn't know, but it does know that there's an organizing force, the sacred, whether you call it God or whatever it is, that organizes all of life. And you know it's perfect. To the degree with how much energy you have available in a moment, that determines the quality and quantity of your life. And if you have enough energy, just as you are, whatever you think about as being blessed, we're cursing and blessing everything. And I found out the recipe that a person could use, one basic distinction I talk about in the book over and over again, for how you use energy information to build your world, to manifest, to create, and attract.
So Donny, you and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and as we often do, and we're talking about healing. And you made a comment, I don't know if it's exactly, but something like you said, well, what if healing wasn't necessary?
Okay. And I wrote books on healing. I had research on healing.
Yes.
I realized that healing is important if you're liberating bound energy and having information that's been trapped, liberated, and there's only so much that can be integrated at a time in a safe, healthy way.
Okay.
And healing, you always believe you're separate from the goal.
It wasn't. So basically somebody says, I am, there's a separation between who I am right now and who I want to be relative to whatever it is you're looking to have healed.
And that's the gap in life. That's what we call pain. And we try to reduce the gap. Actually, we want to make a gap bigger. So we have no idea with humility. So somehow spirit fills, but that's a whole nother conversation. But the idea here is this, is healing what? Does healing mean the person? Do most people mean healing my condition? Okay, that's a whole other thing. Conditions don't heal, people do. But what is healing? Hopefully after I go through enough processes, after I learn enough stuff, after I cut through the bullshit, the limiting stories, limiting beliefs, after I detoxify and do all that type of stuff, finally, I'll have more energy and information. What if you have it right away? I've seen this on thousands of people. I've worked with over 250,000 people, probably millions affected by me, as you know, maybe 100,000 of my transformational programs. And it's nothing short than that. It's nothing less than magic, but not a trick. It's what life does. How does a sperm and egg after a party get together and make a baby? That's what we want to help happen. I need a stem cell. It starts with a living cell. So let's start with this. There's an intelligence that organizes the brain so you could have a thinker who thinks. People are competing with the mind to try to change the mind. The mind is an evolutionary strategy that's done. You can't change the mind, but you can give more energy to the one who's thinking, that suddenly choose different thoughts and different manifestation with different ways and sees different perspectives. You could take the energy that organizes emotions. And emotion is not about laughing or crying. The laughing or crying is dissipating energy to get to the emotion, which is a new gene response to sensitize you, like immunize you to a change that's happening in the world and bring other people with you. So as a culture, we're prepared for change. That's what it really is about. Emotions only last for seconds to a minute. Past that, it's a thought. Okay. Oh, I have a bad emotion. Not something a bad emotion. You have a thought that's not emotional. You would have done something. What if instantly you could bring the energy to that part that creates emotions? What if instantly that organizes connective tissue or muscles instantly has enough energy? Instantly. Now, what takes time is for your identity to catch up with the change that's happened. Mm. There's a glitch in the city. You've seen the movies where they're breaking into the safe or whatever it may be, and they put the paraffin from someone's fingerprint or retina print, okay, with the net wave that occurs. I said, not in the person. I said, what if I get these waves to go between people and all of humanity? That's what I started looking at. Let's get it bigger because we have to get this tipping point. So what happens now is you break into the safe. Great. What they do, though, is they put the same loop in the camera so no one notices, right? That's the safe. It's called the glitch in the system. In Matrix is a glitch. Okay. I'd like you to be a glitch in the system that's existing, and I'd like you to wake up in a new system. It sounds outrageous, sounds crazy, it sounds wild. If it's not unreasonable and it's not extraordinary, it's not going to be around in the future with this next year. I will very rarely make a purely cognitively rational decision. Mm. Because my rational decision will support who I was. I'll make a decision that's unreasonable, that brings me into uncertainty. Well, entrepreneur does that. Now this is it, and Patrick, is important. The entrepreneur is driven with the business as the lever. Seduction has 3 qualities. Everyone listen to this. 3 qualities for seduction. 1, massive uncertainty or instability. 2, a tinge of fear. And 3, a compelling vision that makes you willing to take the risk. That's seduction. If there's no fear, there's no seduction. If it's pure stable, no seduction. Have no bigger vision, seduction. So you need that's a tremendous amount of energy, allow you to go into the instability and have a higher vision. Mm. The entrepreneur traditionally experiences their business in a place in their field that's seduction. Mm. But very often the intimate relationship is not that way. Because you have to switch between extraordinary. It's a different thing. I'm asking you to be seduced to the call, this calling you've had since you've been a child. There's a calling that says there's more. There's a calling that knows a lot of bullshit. There's a calling that says you don't fit into the existing world. You never did. There's a calling that says you may dress up like them, you may look like them, try to look like them, you may talk like them, but you're not one of them. Seekers know this because they live in a world, they're already living in another parallel reality, but the computer screen is here. It sounds strange, but if you know this, you're a seeker. And this book is for seekers because you're the people who's going to help bring on this next year of humanity, where suddenly we're going to wake up and it's different. Why? I believe there's at least 10,000 versions of each of us. Buddhists practice this the same thing. When you chant, you'll have all versions line up the same type of way. It's simple. Every thought, every action, every manifestation is how much energy you have to organize information for the codes that make everything in creation to instantly manifest. They know what they're doing. They always have. They always will. You're not making your money. You're not doing it. The field is generating it for you. How do you know? Because you make it, you lose it. You make it, you lose it because you experience money or business in a place that has no energy. It's that simple.
Mm.
Oh, for example, what happens if you have a business, but it's not making sustainable money? Well, then maybe you don't need to have business. Maybe money comes from some other place. Maybe not from your business. What if you experience money with its tremendous energy, where victory is? You always be victorious with money. You might not make it from your business. Or for so many people, I want to have a relationship. You have a relationship, it sucks. You really want intimacy. Intimacy may have lots of energy. But then you take this intimacy and now we're in a relationship and you have to box it in so it's culturally acceptable to your life. And it's strangled because you forgot the purpose was be out of your mind with this person. That was the whole idea. But how do we live like that in the world? We create a new world where that's the standard. What makes it traumatic years later is the amount of energy and what information you're drawing up from the field when you remember it. For some people, anytime you recall the past, there's the loss of energy. I've had horrible things happen to me, but there's not one thing I'll change because I'm powered by the past. Ask me about the future, I'll go like, read between the lines, okay? It's a whole different story here. So what we're speaking about is this, is you take the darkest emotions, the darkest stories, put them on the floor and turn the light on, what happens?
They go away. They're not dark anymore.
It kind of messes with a lot of the models, because the models in healthcare and society and everything else is to try to fix the broken part, study what doesn't work and study it. Never, 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 I'm telling the book, never, never, never try to fix in life what's not working. Don't try to heal it. Don't fix it. Because what's not working is you're the glitch in the system, you experiencing it. Find out what energy you're using, find a different energy in a different reality. It's not to make light of it, it's just that it only exists because there's not enough light.
So the Seeker's Code, you wrote this for a category of human that you refer to as a seeker. How does somebody know if they're a seeker?
I'll have 7 different statements they make a seeker. And basically, the bottom line is, it's not about you. You have a calling for more. You're meant for more. You're hearing scripts about how you're supposed to be in the culture and how it's supposed to be. Even now with people not wanting to have jobs and stuff like that, some of that is one thing. Some of it is the calling that the way we've been going about things, binding the way we use our life is not right. Okay. But they haven't come up with a solution yet in that in-between system that they had things like the workspaces. Google and Facebook started out as a means of a next year concept, but society is not there. Once you get accepted the culture makes sure it supports the status quo. It's being used for the opposite reason. Those things will not happen that much longer. Those things will not get the rewards. They can be breaking down more and more and more. So it's really interesting. So the real answer is, seeker, do you know this more than you've been told about life? Do you know there's an immaterial something that's running your life? Do you hear a calling for more? Not to have more, to access more, to share more, to bring others with you. What if I said to you, you could have whatever you want in life? What's the energy level? What if I say instead, you could be whoever you must be? Now what if I say you could be whoever you must be and bring as many people with you as possible? You feel a difference in the energy instantly. Seekers know that. The non-seeker is motivated by the fear of missing out. Sign up now or you're going to lose this. Sign up now or you're going to lose this. This is exactly what you're going to marketing. You're going to get this and this and this. Most seekers will say, that's nice. It's okay. But I got to be a different me. I got to play a different game. I got to play a different app. I got to impact more people. You see that showing up more in society, the thoughts there. But we're having people do that, but don't have the energy to manifest it. My network systems, chiropractic, help the nervous system get healthy enough that it connects to the field with coherent energy. and it's still you and me meeting across space. These are not unsolvable problems. Well, they are unsolvable problems when you look for another resource. When the resource is the same force that guides everything, it's a different story. This is the most radical series of thoughts that have been thought with an effortless and easy way of accessing. Because as we go through the Seeker's Code, you're going to see why, energy-wise, hey, my business has been underwater, or my relationship's been like a mortgage underwater. Or what I'm finally selling the house now with more energy, and I'm going to get, oh my God, after commissions and everything else, I'm going to wind up the same place. We put the house on the market. We had an open house. We don't know why. The only house there, they had 30 people show up there bidding war, and I got 20% more. The difference is how much available energy there is. And we all do it at times. What if you can make this unconscious competency the way of your life?
Well, that would put a smile, I think, on everybody's faces that might match yours right now. So, Donny, thank you so much for sharing all this. Again, the book is The Seeker's Code. Any final thoughts?
There's nothing you'll ever achieve, no role you'll ever fulfill. They'll make you feel like you're enough. The purpose of all, and I've taken care of Tony Robbins for 19 years, almost 20 years. I've been at his events. He's one of the most influential people for me in my life there, and as his wife Sage been. And the purpose of all personal development is to make you feel like you're not a nobody, so you become this illusionary somebody who wants to fit into the culture, to be liked, to be accepted, to be approved of. That's adolescent at best in the development there. And once you do achieve and you achieve it, after sacrificing for years, you go, you set another goal less. How long? I'm not saying it's wrong. We have to be somebody to fit into the culture so you can bring the light into the culture. But don't expect achieving more, following what the culture says to be accepted or liked, to ever make you feel like you're enough. Because none of us are really enough for what we're meant for. But that's where the ride first starts.
Beautiful. Well, Donny, again, thanks so much for taking the time and sharing these thoughts. I'm really excited about the new book, and what I've read so far has been, well, to borrow a word from the subtitle, extraordinary. So,
thank you for being I want to, we're kindred souls here. I want to thank you for being such a translator between reality worlds. Okay, translator, because I want everybody to know he's a genius translator. At times that I didn't have the maps and models I had, he found ways of relating to people to help me communicate in a way. One of the key things, again, is what he stands for. It's a coherent energy all around, and that's what manifests. Love you, Guy. Thank you.
Love you too, Donny. Thank you.